the only one, but the one I deal with the most often is carbs are bad for you.
Right.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Especially in the CrossFit space, it's carbs are bad. I need more fat.
Correct.
And I think
that's leftover from
paleo,
keto.
Exactly, and I don't think it's unique to CrossFit. My parents to this day, who have never done CrossFit,
right,
think carbs are evil.
Okay.
You know, and what I started to realize was, okay, let's just use some numbers for an example. Someone that, based on my formula, should get 200 grams of carbs, 150 grams of protein, and 70 grams of fat. Just throwing those out there.
I like those numbers.
Right. Now, this person decides they're low carb and cuts their carbs in half, 100, which would still probably be higher than most people are eating.
Correct.
That's 400 calories.
Right.
They're not making up for that deficit anywhere else.
Right.
So now this person that needs approximately 2,200 calories is just depriving themselves of 400 of that. It's not that they're not eating carbs, it's that they're not eating enough food. Period.
Right.
So we've got this misconception that carbs are bad, where in reality it's that it's not the carbs that you're cutting out that are helping you, it's just that you're not eating enough. You're not making up for that with another macronutrient.
Correct.
And especially in this CrossFit space, you need those carbs. And even if you were to make up for the carbs with another macronutrient, which, like I said, doesn't happen, it's not necessarily that your body wants to use protein or fat for the same energy in the same pathways that it would use carbohydrates.
Right.
You know, protein is used differently, and fat is used differently, and carbs are used differently. So
what do you think happens to somebody when they undereat? What do you typically see?
I would say, between seminars and groups, calls, and I probably work with over thousands of people, 90 to 95% of those people undereat. Don't eat enough food.
So I'm at 300-ish.
Yeah.
And I would say at minimum 200 to 225 of those people
undereat. And those that eat enough, they eat enough calories, but not enough, not the correct ratio of protein, carbs, and fat. So I see that all the time. And
so let me ask you this. I'm sorry to cut you off, but if losing weight is calories in minus calories out, and they're under eating, why aren't they losing weight?
I mean, that's scientific, I suppose, but I think a couple things. I think a calorie is not a calorie. You know, just think about this person that needs 2,000 calories. If they had 2,000 calories from a lot of pasta and bread only, or if they had 2,000 calories from only steak, or if they had 2,000 calories from a variety of foods that gave them a nice balance of macronutrients, it's going to yield different results as far as how they look, how they feel, and how they perform, how their body recovers. So that, and then I believe at some point, if you're just in too much of a deficit for too long, your body maintains body fat. I think that's and I can eyeball it. I always ask people, hey, who stores the majority, and think about this yourself, do you store the majority of your body fat in your belly? You know, and
for men or women, or both?
Both.
Okay.
And if that's the case for you or your significant other or a friend, almost always that's an indication that they're in too much of a deficit and not eating enough. Plus probably not sleeping enough and stressed out, which I would say at some point there's overlap for all of those.
100%.
So I think that's really what goes on. I've worked with so many people that when I've given them their numbers, their first reaction is, that's too much food, I'll gain weight. I say, dude, it's not working anyway, so give this a try. Give me 2 weeks. Within days, they're down. And they're like, this is insane.
Right.
Insane.
So what I've seen, and I think you'll probably agree with this, is so they'll eat at a deficit, so somebody won't eat enough calories for their body Monday to Friday, and they'll make them all up on Saturday and Sunday, but a lot of that being alcohol calories.
Right.
One, and two, the inconsistency of, one day I'll eat 800 calories, the next day I'll eat 1,500 calories. Well, if your body was getting 1,200 calories each of those days, you would see completely different results than if you're eating 800 one day and 1,800 the next day.
Absolutely.
It might average out to be the same thing, but your body needs that day in and day out.
Yeah, you're not giving your body any sort of homeostasis or balance.
Right.
And I think you nailed it too, where, and I call that like the work week syndrome, where Monday through Friday they're in a, and we've all can probably attest to that. I tell people, you might think you're making up for it with the food you're eating at night, but you don't hate yourself like I do, right? That's like the Louis C.K. joke. It's like, if you can't eat till you hate yourself, you're not making up those deficits.
The meal's not over when it's over. It's over when I hate myself.
Yeah, exactly. You and I cannot eat all day and crush 3,000 calories.
I can crush 3,000 calories in 10 minutes.
Yeah, the average woman watching this can't.
Of course not.
Because mentally and emotionally, they're smarter than us.
Yes.
And their body will be like, stop.
Right.
So, you can't make up for that deficit when you run out that... I don't eat breakfast, but I make up for it over the course of my day because I know what I need to eat. Growing up wrestling, I love to eat. I probably eat 50 or more % of my calories at night because I love feeling full and satisfied.
Right.
But most people don't make up for it at night. And then, like you said, I think on the weekends, it's drinking, it's cheesecake, cookies, etc. So not only are they getting it too much from alcohol, but also from the wrong ratio again.
Right. And I think that goes right back to what we started with, which is that post-traumatic diet disorder.
Mm-hmm.
It's this concept of I eat well Monday to Friday and I cheat on the weekends. So let me ask you this. What do you think of cheat days, and do you incorporate cheat days into your plans anymore? Or do you think that ruins everything that we're talking about?
I personally don't think there's a reason to cheat with flexible eating. Here's why. You can eat anything you want. You can't eat everything you want. So if you want to cheat with flexible eating, it's simply because you want to eat more than your body needs.
Agreed.
That's the only reason. Because I can have pizza, you can have your peanut butter cups, we can go out to that ramen noodle place across the street.
We are going to that ramen
All
noodle
right. So there's no reason, and you have to really dig deep and say, well, do I want, if it's food I'm craving, let me figure out where it falls in.
Right.
If it's an abundance of food, why do I want that?
Right.
That's a deeper question. Do I think it's the end of the world? If you want a day where you just go off the rails, the cool thing about flexible eating is you can get right back on it. The story I told yesterday, we went to a wedding, not as a couple.
As a date.
As
You were my date.
We were both with women, and we went to a wedding, and I had the prime rib. Remember that prime rib? It was like 20 ounces.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. Joe, we hung out during the day, and we were both kind of like, hey, let's eat less during the day to save up for what's going to have.
We went to Whole Foods in the morning. We got something light.
We worked out at Albany CrossFit, and so I threw the prime rib in my app, 20 ounces, immediately blew my fat out.
Yep.
I was like, well, I'm going to eat this. It's a prime rib. And then for dessert, instead of having a wedding cake, they had donuts. If you're getting married, do that. And
I've never seen anybody eat so many donuts.
I did. So I was just, no one at the table was eating their donuts.
You ate like...
I ate everyone's.
I went and got 2 donuts and went to the bathroom and came back. You would eat my
Crushed
donuts.
Crushed them. Because I was like, F it. I'm already over, whatever. I wasn't drinking, and I just was like, I'm going to crush everything with food. And I ate maybe more donuts and felt terrible. My stomach was a little off, but I wasn't like emotionally a wreck. But the cool thing was the next day, I took 2 donuts home and I started my day with those donuts. So the same food that I overindulged on also set me back on the right path when it came to flexible eating.
I agree.
So that was probably the last time I overdid it. Now I'm on the road. I'll be at the games next week. If somebody brings me some In-N-Out burger, I'm not going to go crazy if it puts me 20 grams over my fat or protein or whatnot, but I'm not going to purposely do it either. I think the beauty of flexible eating is I'll always track it anyway, and then I kind of see where I'm at, and I can, it keeps me more in check, where knowing if I have 2 In-N-Out burgers, it puts me 20 grams of fat over, which is substantial, 180 calories, but it stops me from eating 4. Does that make sense? I normally, because I would continue to just eat and eat and eat.
I mean,
So-
you're just eating at that point for the sake of eating.
Right, and you're looking at the app and looking at the food, mentally, physically, emotionally. I know I've already ate the amount of food my body needs. This is just me being a glutton.
I've written about this, and I think I had you read this.
Yep.
I hate cheat days. I think cheat days are the new anorexia, bulimia thing. I think everybody saves and earns their food,
Right, earned
and
it.
I think that idea is something that people need to get rid of. And anybody who works with either of us, I'm not a proponent of cheat days. If there's a meal that you don't want to count because you're at a wedding like that, I was in Denver. I went to this place called the Denver Biscuit Company,
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
and the biscuits are like this big. And they asked me where I was from, and I said I'm from New York, and they sent me home with 2 more biscuits. I wasn't not gonna eat the biscuit, 'cause,
Right.
You know, it was fucking delicious, and I really wanted it, but it was 800 calories for a single biscuit. That's a lot. And when you have 2,200 calories and you're eating that at one time, you know, it kind of blows out your day, right? But I also they gave me 2 more, and I ate those over the course of the rest of the week. I was in Denver for the week, and I balanced it out, right? But I didn't say, no, I couldn't have it, and feel guilty about it and beat myself up over it because I ate a biscuit that I genuinely enjoyed. Now, I think that cheat days really get into this punishment reward syndrome
Mm-hmm.
that I have to go to the gym to be able to eat, and if I eat something bad, I have to take it out of my diet, and being quote unquote strict.
You know, I hate when people post on Facebook, I worked out so hard today, I earned this.
Right.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You worked out hard. That's it. You didn't.
That's it.
If you're ruining what you just did, in fact.
Correct.
And I think you just said something really well that I realized I do now with flexible eating. Do you ever have this where someone, you know, makes me a mac and cheese
Right.
to be nice? And typically in the past, I would have ate it and then been like, well, fuck it. Let's just finish it. I just ate bad.
Right.
Where now, I would have figured out what I have in my food, just like you did with the biscuits, and said, okay, well, I can have some today. It's still going to be good tomorrow.
Right.
I don't need to eat all of the mac and
Right.
cheese right. It's not going to go bad overnight.